guys, and welcome to number 500 of the 24-25 season, where we'll be talking on today's Los Blancos podcast about another Real Madrid loss, another Real Madrid disappointing performance, and more drop points and more disappointment from this team. And this time 2-1 loss at the Benito Villamarin against Real Betis. A game in which we were totally outclassed, outplayed, outdone by Real Betis from minute 20 to minute 90. We went 2-1 down, and Betis looked like they were more dangerous to score. We had no urgency, the complacency was so obvious, and it was one of the worst performances of the season. Which at this point, is becoming a regular trend for Real Madrid. Every time there's a small setback, it's back to this horrific performances. Let's talk about it. Going into this game, I was not exactly hopeful because Real Betis have been on fire recently. They've got a new attack that they've built in January. And that attack, which included Anthony on the right, who's been in excellent form, Isco in the number 10 position, Cucho Hernandez up front, who they signed from the MLS, I believe. They signed from Columbus in the MLS a couple months ago, or in January actually. And they've got Jesus Rodriguez on the left, who's been in excellent form recently, and he's been an excellent talent for Real Betis. That being said, our record as well has been really bad at the Villamarin. We hadn't won since 2021 at the Villamarin, and it felt like it was going to be a difficult game. That alongside the fact that we were missing quite a few players, Fede was missing for this game, Jude was missing, Ceballos was missing. Ceballos is now injured for the next couple of months. We'll be discussing that a little bit later on, but a lot of the players are missing. We've had a lot of injury issues. The lineup, I was worried about it because last week I was worried about it. The midfield, because we played with Brahim as a number 10 trying to take the Jude role, and we put Modric next to Tchouaméni. I thought that was going to hurt us last week. It didn't, because Girona were rather useless last week. But when we were playing against a competent midfield, suddenly, huge issues. The other main talking point, which is where I'm going to start today's podcast, is Asensio. Because Asensio, despite being the real saviour of the season, realistically, the guy who's given an opportunity to Ancelotti to actually take back the season, it seems like Ancelotti's just trying to find any excuse to drop him. Any opportunity, back to the bench. And it feels like it's going to require one more humiliation for Ancelotti to finally accept that Asensio is our best defender this season, is probably one of our best players this season, to be honest. If I look at our best players this season, it would probably be him, Ceballos and Jude, and Fede as well. That's it. That's the everyone else, you're not getting anywhere near. Everyone else can get a hold of smoke as well, because I just don't understand how Asensio gets dropped in a game like this, especially when the two centre backs just look completely unfit. Alaba got absolutely just run ragged. He looks physically so far off it. He looks completely washed, and this is post injury. Before the injury, we were talking about David Alaba as declining, as getting worse. The injury is obviously not going to help with that. That's going to make things a lot worse. And it just looks like he's done. His physical abilities, it just look completely finished. And it's to the point where I'm thinking, Saudi have to come and rescue us with him. Because I don't see a way in which David Alaba recovers. Physically, he looks completely off of it. I understand he gives us so much elsewhere, but in terms of leadership, he didn't look like a leader in this game. We needed a leader, and David Alaba wasn't it. Rudiger as well. Rudiger just looks completely unfit. He doesn't look ready to play. He does not look, and there was a point in his Chelsea career which when Thomas Tuchel came in and his something in his head just switched, where he just turned from that reckless defender to just this Rolls Royce, it feels like this season, Antonio Rudiger, that the switch has been turned off again, and he's just turned into that reckless defender, and it won't be long before it actually costs us. You know, Rudiger is fantastic, and he can do so many fantastic things, but he is making some really stupid decisions at points. You know, I just don't understand what Rudiger is doing sometimes. In this game, you know, he was absolutely run ragged by MLS MVP Cucho Hernandez. Cucho just completely just ran both of these guys, had both of them on a leash, and when Tchouaméni played centre back further in this game, Cucho had him as well. You know, I've got to give my props to Cucho Hernandez. I didn't expect this guy to be this good, coming from Columbus, but he's been absolutely sensational for not sensational. I'm not going to say sensational, but he was really fantastic for Betis over these last few weeks, and so it's not a great look for us to have Cucho playing like this against our world class defenders. We say, you know, having an MLS guy playing like this against us, but you know, it's just props to Cucho for absolutely causing so many issues against us. I have no doubt, you know, we got the Atleti game midweek. I have no doubt that Ancelotti, before this Real Betis game, was planning to play Alaba and Rudiger against Atleti. There was 0% chance that Asensio was going to start before this Real Betis game, before this loss. There was 0% chance that Asensio was going to start against Atleti. I hope that this loss gives him that encouragement to play Asensio, but still I'm not sure about it. I still think that Ancelotti will persist, and I once again must bring this up. I think it's going to take a humiliation for Ancelotti to finally accept that Asensio is our best defender. I think it's going to take that, because if we go back, let's bring this back, right? Let's talk about the history, right? Earlier this season, it took a Militao ACL. It took a couple of injuries at the back, for Asensio to play ahead of Ferland Mendy at centre back in that Osasuna game. So he managed to get himself the fourth choice centre back role in that game. Fantastic. A couple of good games against Liverpool. Tchouaméni returns. Tchouaméni plays horribly at centre back, and it takes a 5-2 loss against Barcelona for Asensio to win back the second choice centre back role, or the third choice, I should say. Alaba comes back off the injury, relapses. Now he's back again, and I feel like it's gonna take one more humiliation for Asensio to become an actual starter. Because for me, I think it's a simple issue. Like, it's not rocket science, man. It's not rocket science. I can see it. You can see it. Anybody can see it. Our defense is significantly better with Raul Asensio at the back, ahead of David Alaba. Anybody can see it. Like, is it a coincidence that less goals are shipped and our defense looks so much less solid, and the opposition attackers are so much worse against Raul Asensio than any other defender in this Real Madrid team? I don't think that's a coincidence, and I would even suggest there's causation. But Ancelotti clearly doesn't see it, and I just don't understand how he doesn't see it. He's been perfect. I can't give him a single blemish on his Real Madrid career so far, in the first team. I cannot give him a single blemish, and he still refuses to play him. That's the point where I'm just like, it just makes zero sense what Ancelotti is doing, and I'm truly lost for words with Ancelotti's decisions. Then elsewhere, I mean, the midfield, I've spoken about this, but it was totally naive because it worked against last week against Girona. That doesn't mean anything. Girona, shit. They couldn't do anything last week. Girona were totally toothless. That doesn't mean you go and persist with that same midfield, and they got absolutely ripped apart by Johnny Cardoso. Johnny Cardoso scored a goal and he gave an assist, he didn't give an assist, but he was just constantly everywhere in that midfield. And Modric, I'm sorry, like, Modric's fantastic. I love him so much, but you know, there's a reason why Modric's 39. He's 39, and at the end of the day, you can't expect him to hold up a whole midfield at age 39. Like, you've got to give him 2 other guys next to him. You've got to give him that protection. You can't be going into this game so naive, thinking that Modric can hold up against Johnny Cardoso, who's in his physical peak, who's against Altamira, who's in the physical peak. It's just totally naive and totally stupid from Carlo Ancelotti to do that. But that's what we've grown accustomed to at this point in Real Madrid, right? What a stupid decision to put Modric in this game. Tchouaméni didn't play great. He didn't give him much cover. He didn't help much. And obviously Brahim didn't really do much on the offensive end. Obviously scored the goal, but apart from that, really was offered nothing. Nothing as opposed to playing Arda, or as opposed to playing Camavinga. He really didn't give anything. And this comes back to let's talk about Ceballos now, because he's out for 2 months. There's going to be pressure on the physios to get him back before the Copa del Rey final if we make it so far. No Ceballos, suddenly that's a huge loss, because Ceballos gives you so much that's so different in that midfield. Tchouaméni actually started to look like a good player again. Tchouaméni actually started to look like he was working again next to Dani Ceballos, who's actually physically competent, who can run around and get around the pitch. And suddenly you lose that ability, and suddenly that's a huge loss to take. So obviously that's obviously not perfect, but you're gonna have to deal with the adversity as it comes, right? Adversity is gonna come, and you haven't dealt with it so well. How is Camavinga not starting this game? I don't know. I know he's struggled over the last few weeks, and it brings me back to my next point is, I know Camavinga's struggling, and it has made me consider different things. I was talking to Sean before this game, actually, talking to him about how I was worried about Camavinga's long-term development, because in 4 years at Real Madrid, he took a massive leap in that first year, but actually he hasn't improved in a lot of areas in which I expected him to improve, and he just hasn't been consistent enough. The ability under pressure, I think, is the main thing. When he's playing as a single pivot, it just hasn't improved at all. I think his naivety when going into challenges is very, very stupid a lot of the times, and he just hasn't improved in a lot of these areas. And I understand that you need to. For me, I think Camavinga needs to step up in these next few months, because we need him to take that load of ball progressor. But it's really bad. This midfield situation is really bad, because we need Federico Valverde playing right back right now, because we need Lucas Vázquez is really bad, but we also need Fede Valverde in midfield as well, because we need some runners. We need somebody to run in midfield, and it's just everything's really bad right now at Real Madrid. It's not good. I think solution. Let's talk about a solution for that midfield. I think you should go defense first. Try and listen. I've been talking to people, and I think that one of the solutions is playing Jude a little bit deeper. We've talked about this before. Obviously, you lose a lot in attack if Jude's not doing that. And takes me to my next point. The attack's shit. The attack is so shit. I mean, I just don't understand how guys like Vinicius and Mbappe and Rodrigo, they're playing like dog shit. They're getting Vinny. I mean, this was his worst performance of the season. He was really, really abhorrent. He was bad. And there's the bit at the end where he got mad at Marc Bartra, and Bartra he made a perfect tackle. He made a perfect tackle, and Vinny got mad at him. And Bartra's not even instigating. He's just there, and he's just like, he's trying to calm Vinny down. Actually, it's just like Vinny played a horrible game from minute 1 to minute 90. All the attackers played a horrible game. I'm not going to single out Vinny for this, because all the attackers played a horrible game. So many transition attacks. That's one of the main issues, is when Betis are putting the pressure on you. They're putting you on pressure. You've got to take advantage of that, right? But No, they didn't take advantage of that. They got taken advantage of, and every time it was a transition, Betis managed to cut it out. Every single time, managed to stop a counter. That shouldn't be the case. That should never be the case. There was the one where Vinny messed it up in the first half. I can't remember what minute it was. It was early. It was after our first goal, and there was another one where Brahim was really close to being free, and then it just got intercepted. And then the one in the second half where there was one in the second half where Mbappe first few minutes in the second half where Mbappe had a real opportunity to go ahead and score 2-on-2, and he fluffs it. I think Marc Bartra makes a tackle on him. Then there was another one where Arda had a beautiful chance to switch the play, and I think it might have been Johnny Cardoso, but I might be wrong. Makes a tackle on him. So, or the interception, sorry. It was bad. Transition attacks were bad. And I think Carlo just completely misread the match, and it's a lot of these match-up games where you need to properly match up with the opposition. Carlo just fucks it. He just fucks it every single time. We really needed runners in that midfield. We needed legs in that midfield, and we had Modric. We had 39-year-old Modric chasing after shadows. We had 4 attackers who, just not getting back, and it was just like, it was pissing me off constantly. We'll talk about Vinny. I mean, I think he's been really bad this season. I think the first few weeks, or the first few months, I should say, were good, and then there was that game against Osasuna, where he scored a hat-trick. Since then, Vinny's performances have really taken a hit. And, he played good midweek, I thought, against Real Sociedad, but that wasn't a signature Vinny performance, right? And I want Vinny to step up, because he's been really, I don't know, he's taken a step back, in my opinion. He's taken a step back because of the way he's playing. It feels like he's trying to impress people. It feels like he's trying to show people that I deserve the Ballon d'Or, and it feels like he's trying to do the remarkable every single time. And suddenly he's trying to be extravagant. He's trying to do things that are like really stupid. Like he's there's no need to take on the player every single time, and Vinny's doing it. He's taking on Sabali every single time. And there's some times where you just like release the ball. There's a perfect opportunity to release the ball, and he just doesn't. He doesn't move the ball enough. He doesn't move the ball quick enough. And especially in this game where Vinny was really struggling to get past his man. They were doubling up really well on Vinicius. Move the ball around. Keep circulating it, and try and get a matchup that you like. 1-on-1 against Sabali. Sabali did a really good job on him, and he just didn't make good decisions. It's been poor decision after poor decision by Vinicius Junior this season, and I think the presence of Mbappe really has hurt him a lot this season, because in the first few weeks, you remember, he was being absolutely fantastic. With his creativity, was really fantastic. But recently, he's been quite selfish. I thought he's been really just trying to make things for himself, and he's trying to do the remarkable things by dribbling 2-3 players and then putting the cross in. His crossing hasn't been great recently, and it just makes you think it's just like Vinny needs to go back to being a little bit more simple. I don't think he's going to win the Ballon d'Or this season. I don't think there's very much chance unless he goes absolutely ballistic in the Champions League this season. I mean, when I mean ballistic, I mean ballistic. Like, what round of 16 we were talking about a proper, like, what Ronaldo did in 2016-17, where he scored like something ridiculous to take he scored, I want to say 12. That could be very wrong, but he scored 12 in the knockout stages. To take the golden boot off Messi, and I'm talking that level of performance from Vinny to win the Ballon d'Or, because he's not going to win it this year. He needs to really improve, and it's I understand Mbappe's come in, but come on, really, it's just not good. Where else are we going to talk about? Set pieces. Fucking hell. Set pieces. Oh god, every time. You know, I think the amount of fouls Real Madrid win, the amount of corners Real Madrid get, we have to make set pieces a little bit better, a little bit more. Like every single fucking set piece is just straight to the Betis defender. And I've said this a couple of weeks ago against Espanyol or Osasuna. It was Osasuna. It was Osasuna. The set pieces are fucking horrible, and they've been horrible all season. We've lost our main set piece taker with Toni Kroos, who really improved last year and was fantastic. We've lost one of our main threats of set pieces, or two of our main threats of set pieces, with Militao and Dani Carvajal. Yeah, it's 5'6" Dani Carvajal of corners, yeah. But the delivery's been really bad. I don't know why we're not attacking any of the set pieces. We're always looking for a second ball to drop somewhere, and we're never attacking the set pieces. Rudiger's been bad off set pieces. He just hasn't been dangerous at all. Sherman's been better, but his heading ability's been put really bad. And obviously, David Alaba's never been a threat off set pieces, and nobody else is going to take or maybe Jude, but obviously Jude's not playing. Set pieces have been bad. Delivery's horrible. Modric, I'm sorry, the delivery's been really bad from Modric, and even worse from Rodrigo. Arda's not playing enough to get some solid set pieces going. So that's another point where I'm just like, what's the point of Real Madrid winning a foul? You're like, oh yes, we're getting a free kick, or yes, we're getting a corner, and it's just not. And then the defending of set pieces in this game, especially, I don't think generally it's an issue because we've got Thibaut Courtois, but in this game especially, we got absolutely done in constantly by the set pieces. I think Marc Bartra had a really good opportunity of set piece. Johnny Cardoso had two. He scored off one, and Courtois had to make a ridiculous save off the other. It was poor set pieces once again. Defending was just. It was like, I think Carlo really told Modric to go and mark Johnny Cardoso. Modric was assigned to mark Johnny Cardoso. What kind of mismatch is that? And I remember it was a couple of years ago against Chelsea, and Modric was assigned to Rudiger in that fight in that game, and eventually Rudiger scored. It was constant threat, and eventually Rudiger managed to score. And it's just like the set piece defending sometimes is just like, what are you doing? It's this simple stuff, and Real Madrid just failed to do it. It's like all of this can be solved with a simple video session at the training ground, 1 hour every week, and Real Madrid don't do it. They don't do it. I don't know who are they hiring. Where's it? We need a data analyst. Realistically, just somebody to do film every week. It's just like it's lacking at Real Madrid, to be honest. I want to talk about Thibaut Courtois, and this is by far the biggest issue. Not by far the smallest issue at Real Madrid right now. Is his decline. It feels like Courtois not as invincible as before, because that first goal should have been saved by Thibaut Courtois, but then he obviously makes up for it with a fantastic save. But it just feels like Courtois is not as invincible. Another thing I'm getting pissed off at recently is Courtois just lumping the ball every single opportunity he gets. The performance by Lunin in midweek really put things into perspective for me. How well Lunin actually plays, how much better Lunin plays with his feet than Courtois. And the saves that Lunin was making against Sociedad were the type of saves that Courtois used to make on the regular. So it really put things into perspective for me. I think it's just a little asterisk on this one, but I don't think it's by far it's fine. It's fine for now, not an issue, but it's gonna get to an issue soon. Arda, listen, I'm talking about Arda because I think this season, off the back of last season, right? He was fantastic in the limited minutes he got towards the end of last season. He was really, really damn good, scoring every single game, doing something ridiculous every single game. And then that tournament with Turkey was so good. But this season, I'm sorry, like, Arda, I love you so much. You are fantastic. You are great talent. But he hasn't shown enough. He hasn't shown enough for Real Madrid. Like, I understand he's not playing enough minutes. And this was, before the Real Sociedad game, he had played, 0 minutes in the last 5 games. But you've got to make the most out of the minutes you get. And he just hasn't done that. he hasn't been exceptional, which is what we need him to be. Because at the end of the day, he was good, maybe okay against Real Sociedad, but that's not enough. That's not enough for him to warrant being in the team more often. We need him to do a little bit more, and I hope Arda does get to that point. Maybe he's just suffering a little bit of a slump in his second year, sophomore slump as the basketball fans like to say, but it's really concerning how Arda's playing, and he just hasn't warranted it. He hasn't warranted playing, and it pisses me off to say that because I love Arda. He's a fantastic player, and in theory he's actually a really good player for this team, what we need right now. But I think he's just not. And it feels like he's just not physically ready, and that's something for the summer, right? You can't fix that during the middle of the season, in the middle of the intense season. But it does feel like I'm not asking him to do like a Giannis Antetokounmpo type muscle transformation. Just add a few pounds of muscle. Just add a few kilograms of muscle in the summer. Really go for it so that you're not getting bullied every week, and hopefully Arda can start getting used a little bit more. But what do I know? Endrick, I'm not concerned with. I mean, it was a bad performance. 2 bad shots he had to, but really summed up the game for us. And then persisting with Lucas Vazquez, it was really bad from Lucas Vazquez once again. How many times do I have to say this same fucking shit every single week? Jesus Rodriguez really ran him ragged, like constantly. Just Jesus Rodriguez, 19 years old, fantastic player, has been playing ridiculously well for Betis over the last few weeks, but totally just ran him ragged constantly throughout the game. It's just like Lucas Vazquez could not deal with him. Midweek, I better not see Lucas Vazquez starting against Atleti, because I don't think Atleti's got anybody to take advantage of that as much as other teams, but good God, I do not want to see Lucas Vazquez playing that game. And speaking ahead of the Atleti game, let's just talk about the Atleti game a little bit before I wrap this game up. This is probably one of the most I've talked to myself, but yeah, we got Atleti Tuesday 8:00 UK time. It's not good. It's not good because Atleti won yesterday against Athletic Club. Rather, in late fashion like they typically do. But if Atleti line up with Julian Alvarez up top, they were gonna suffer. So what can Real Madrid do? Here's what I would do. Mr. Tactical Expert myself, Mr. Whoever's critic, if you've got to criticize Ancelotti, you got to have a solution, right? You can't just take the piss and just have no solution, because that would be hypocritical. Here's my solution. I understand that Federico Valverde is needed in midfield, but we need him more at right back, because fucking Lucas Vazquez is just unwatchable. So that's solution number 1. Centre backs. Solution number 2. Rudiger and Asensio plays centre back. Alaba's done. He's done. His physical level is just totally in the bin. And if you play him against Solot, or if you play him against Julian Alvarez, would just totally just run him ragged like Cucho did. And if Solot plays against him, Solot will dunk on him. He would dunk on him for 90 minutes or whenever he comes on later in the game. Remember what Alvaro Morata did to David Alaba 2 years ago, or 1 year ago, whenever it was when Alvaro Morata scored 2. Make sure that David Alaba is not playing that game, but I think Ancelotti will make sure that David Alaba was playing the game. Another solution is playing Asensio at right back and then putting Fede in midfield. I don't like this as much because I don't want Asensio playing at right back, and I don't want Alaba playing. That's the other option. So solution number 3. This is the third fix to this team. We're obviously missing Dani Ceballos, which is a huge loss, and one which I just don't think Real Madrid often can deal with. But the solution: putting Camavinga in that midfield. Put Camavinga in the midfield. I understand he's been in bad form, but just do it. You need the progression for somewhere. Please put Camavinga and do not put Modric in. Modric will get outrun and outdone. He can't do it. I don't think he can do it, but I have a feeling Carlo Ancelotti will play Luka Modric in that game. So what I would do, midfield 3. We're also missing Jude in that game as well. We're missing another guy in that midfield. So it seems like the hand is probably forced in playing Luka Modric in that game, but please do not drop Camavinga again, because despite his bad form, we need him in that midfield. So the midfield 3, I'd go for a Tchouaméni, Camavinga, and Luka Modric. I understand that, Camavinga's bad form, but at the end of the day, you've got to play Luka Modric in this game because you need some sort of distribution from somewhere. Jude's not playing. You've got to play Luka. You've got to play Modric here. And then the front 3. I mean, I liked what Ancelotti had been doing with the 4-4-2 in off the ball, moving Rodrigo back. But Vinny, you better step up, because you typically don't in Madrid derbies. There's something about the occasion that gets to you. And then Mbappe, you better motherfuckers to step up, because you got taken off early in this game. I'm not going to blame Mbappe for this game. Although I did think he struggled beyond the 20th minute. But I think apart from that, I think that's all I've got to say. You better win. Motherfucker, you better win. Because if you don't, and you go into the second leg at the Metropolitano, is it called the Riyadh Air Metropolitano now? I think it is, actually. I'll quickly just verify that for you. But if you go into the Metropolitano, it is called the Riyadh Air Metropolitano. If you go into the Metropolitano without a lead, you are fucked. Going into that second leg, totally and utterly fucked. So, be careful. Atleti they're gonna run you ragged. They're gonna make sure that you struggle. But my prediction for an Atleti Real Madrid game at the Metropolitan at the Bernabeu, it's obviously gonna be a 1-1. And with that, thank you guys for listening. I hope this was some sort of comfort for you in listening to me getting angry instead of yourselves. I think that's enough of me talking. Thanks guys for listening. Like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys at a later point, maybe later this week. I might be back for a review of the Athletic game if I feel like it, or we'll be back next week, whoever we're playing in La Liga. Thanks, bye bye.